In a few moments, I will unleash a tidal wave of psychic energy designed to dominate the minds of an entire planet. There will be no more free will, only my will.
My God, that maniac's really going to do it.
There may be a way out of this, Commander.
Soon you will beg for my mercy and forgiveness.
Get to London ASAP, Commander.
It is too late, comrade.
Yuri's Revenge picks up where Red Alert 2 left off. You're probably familiar with Westwood's real-time strategy game from last year. It had a lot of action, that's for sure. It was lots and lots of fun. You got to play as either the Allies or the Soviets in this futuristic war in these real-time strategy matches that really didn't last for very long because very quickly you could build up these powerful armies and just be the first to lay siege to the other guy's forces. Yuri's Revenge takes that formula, adds an entirely new playable faction which is run by Yuri, the renegade Soviet psychic, and his legions of mindless zombies and crazy tanks and stuff like that. Besides that, it introduces two entirely new campaigns for the Allies and the Soviets respectively, who each in turn have to fight against Yuri, their common foe, as you'll discover. And the game introduces new maps and new multiplayer options and all kinds of stuff like that. It actually has a whole lot to offer for an expansion pack, and could probably just as easily have been a standalone game were it not for the fact that it reuses a lot of the graphics and sounds from the original. The two new campaigns in Yuri's Revenge are a lot of fun. They're relatively short, however these scenarios have a lot of different objectives in them, a lot of different surprises, some pretty funny gags in them actually that you might pick up on, and in general they're just a lot of fun to play, even though the computer opponent you'll be up against, regardless of what difficulty you play on, it won't really do anything too interesting in competing against you. It'll sort of send waves of foes at you, and if you set up kill zones, and you should be able to get through pretty easily. But the campaign missions are more for the story. You'll probably spend more time playing the game in the skirmish mode, where you'll be able to experiment with the new Yuri faction. Yuri is an all-new playable faction in addition to the Allies and the Soviets. He's got his own crazy new tricks. Some of them come from the Soviet side from Red Alert 2, but otherwise he's got you know, these giants called brutes that can practically tip enemy tanks over. He's got Gatling tanks that fire faster and faster at land and air targets, and he of course has his own mind control abilities. And using these he can take over enemy units and even structures, which makes this new faction really quite powerful, but also really fun to play and quite unusual. In fact, between the new Yuri faction and also the changes made to the Soviets and Allies, they all get new units and structures too that are pretty interesting in their own right. You'll find that Yuri's Revenge really plays very, very differently than Red Alert 2, and these changes are all very refreshing, very interesting. The game harbors a lot of the same interesting unit design that Red Alert 2 had. You'll just have a lot of fun using the various units and building up through the tech tree and attacking your enemies and so forth. So it's actually quite impressive how varied and interesting the gameplay can be, how much variety there is in the action and in the strategy elements of the game. The designers really did a good job at coming up with new units that are compelling to use, that have a meaningful purpose in the scope of the battle and so forth. And these units are actually quite unlike a lot of what you find in other real-time strategy games, which again is to the credit of the designer's creativity. So it's actually a very safe bet that if you liked Red Alert 2 at all, you'll also very much enjoy Yuri's Revenge, because it really does what any successful expansion pack should do. It adds more to the core gameplay. It doesn't just add more content, but it adds more features. It's a different game to play. It changes the way Red Alert 2 plays, and yet a lot of the same kind of frantic, fun feel of the game, of course, remains intact. Even though a lot of the strategies will change and a lot of new strategies are introduced, and it's a great add-on to a great game and easily recommendable to anyone who liked the original or even those who happen to miss it.